First contact defiance. The UES Thunderbolt sliced through the void, its streamlined hull gleaming under the distant starlight. On the command deck, Captain Maya Reeves stood with her arms folded behind her back, watching as her crew navigated through the asteroid field at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. This routine patrol had turned into something else entirely when their long-range sensors picked up unusual energy signatures 3 days ago. Status report, Lieutenant Chen, Maya called out, her voice steady despite the tension building in her chest. Still tracking the anomalies, Captain. Lieutenant Eli Chen responded from his station. 7 vessels. Configuration unknown. They're maintaining position just beyond the heliopause. They haven't detected us yet. Maya nodded, running a hand through her short, dark hair. Humanity had ventured into the stars only 50 years ago, establishing colonies and outposts in neighboring systems. Their encounters with alien life had been limited to peaceful trading species and primitive civilizations. These vessels were something new, and the way they positioned themselves suggested a military formation. Communications, any response to our hails? Negative, Captain. Communications Officer Farah Okafor replied. I've tried all standard protocols and frequencies. Either they can't hear us, or they're choosing not to respond. Maya's instincts, honed through 15 years in the United Earth Defense Force, screamed danger. Tactical, give me options. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Ward looked up from his console. The Thunderbolt stealth systems are functioning at optimal levels. We could approach closer without detection, gather more intelligence. Or we could be walking into a trap, Maya countered. What's the status of the Proxima outpost? 500 civilians, plus a defense complement of 75. Jackson replied. Standard orbital defenses, nothing that could handle multiple warships if these visitors turn hostile. Maya made her decision. Plot a course that keeps us hidden in the asteroid field. We'll observe and gather intelligence. Alert Earth Command about our situation. If these are first contact candidates, I want to be prepared. The Thunderbolt moved silently through the asteroid field, its advanced sensor suite gathering data on the mysterious vessels. Hours passed as Maya and her crew analyzed what they found. Captain, you need to see this. Chief Science Officer Dr. Liam Seto called from his station. I've been analyzing their energy signatures. These ships are powered by matter-antimatter reactors, far more advanced than our fusion drives. Maya leaned over his shoulder, studying the readouts. Weapon capabilities. If I'm interpreting these readings correctly, their weapon yields could devastate a small moon. Liam replied, his voice hushed. They outclass us in every technical category. Before Maya could respond, Eli's voice cut through the tension. Captain, the vessels are moving. They've changed course and are heading directly toward Proxima Outpost. Time to intercept, Maya demanded. At their current velocity, 17 minutes until they reach the outpost. Maya's mind raced through scenarios. The Thunderbolt couldn't hope to defeat 7 technologically superior vessels. Even if they managed to alert the outpost, evacuation would be impossible in the time frame. Communications, send an emergency transmission to Earth. Include all our sensor data. Tactical, I need a distraction plan. Captain. Jackson looked up, surprise evident on his face. Those people on the outpost are under our protection, Commander. I don't intend to let them die without a fight. Maya turned to navigation. How many mining charges do we have in our cargo hold? Standard complement for patrol duty, Captain. 20 high-yield mining explosives. Maya nodded. Tactical, I want those charges modified to emit the same energy signature as these alien vessels. Can you do it? Jackson caught her meaning immediately. Create decoys to confuse their sensors. Yes, Captain. Give us 10 minutes. You have 7, Maya replied grimly. The bridge crew worked frantically as the Thunderbolt raced ahead of the alien fleet, deploying modified mining charges throughout the asteroid field. Each charge was programmed to emit energy signatures mimicking the alien vessels, creating a false fleet scattered throughout the rocks. "Charges deployed, Captain," Jackson reported. "Remote detonation ready." "Now we see if they take the bait," Maya murmured. "Helm, position us behind that large asteroid. Weapons, ready all missile tubes but hold fire until my command." The alien fleet approached, their massive ships dwarfing the Thunderbolt. As they neared the first cluster of modified charges, Maya gave the order. "Detonate Group 1." The explosions rippled through the asteroid field, creating a cascade of energy readings identical to the alien vessels. The effect was immediate. The alien fleet halted its advance, sensors clearly detecting what appeared to be ambush forces hiding among the asteroids. "They're changing formation," Eli reported, "breaking into defensive positions." "They think they're surrounded," Maya observed. "Communications, broadcast on all frequencies, translate into as many alien linguistic patterns as our database contains." Maya stepped forward, her voice clear and commanding. "Attention, unknown vessels. This is Captain Maya Reeves of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered protected human space without authorization. We demand your immediate withdrawal, or we will consider your presence an act of aggression." The response came in the form of energy weapons firing into the asteroid field, targeting the decoy signatures. The alien fleet had divided their forces, making them vulnerable. Now, tactical. Target their lead vessel, all missiles. The Thunderbolt erupted from its hiding place, launching its full complement of missiles at the nearest alien ship. The surprise attack caught the vessel with its defensive systems focused elsewhere. Multiple impacts rocked the massive ship, and although they didn't destroy it, they clearly caused damage. "They're regrouping," Jackson called out. "Incoming weapons lock." "Evasive maneuvers," Maya ordered. "Deploy countermeasures." The Thunderbolt danced through the asteroid field, using the natural cover to evade the vastly superior firepower directed at them. Maya knew they couldn't win a prolonged engagement, but they didn't need to. They just needed to buy time. "Captain, look." Farah pointed to her display. New signatures approaching from the direction of Earth. 3 United Earth Defense Force heavy cruisers dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system, responding to the Thunderbolt's emergency signal faster than Maya had dared hope. The alien fleet, now facing actual reinforcements after being deceived by phantom forces, began to withdraw. "They're retreating, Captain," Eli reported, disbelief in his voice. Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Sometimes it's not about having the biggest stick, Lieutenant. It's about making them think twice about using theirs." As the alien vessels accelerated away from the Proxima system, Maya turned to her communications officer. "Connect me to the lead UEDF cruiser and open a channel to Proxima Outpost. We need to prepare them. Those ships will be back, and next time, they won't underestimate us." Hours later, Maya stood in the communications room of Proxima Outpost, facing a holographic projection of Admiral Helena Ortiz, the commander of Earth's defense forces. "The vessels have been identified as belonging to the Dragari Empire," Admiral Ortiz explained. "From what our xenoanthropologists have gathered from other species, they're expansionists who consider technological superiority a divine right to rule." "They certainly have the technology," Maya replied, "but they retreated rather quickly when faced with unexpected resistance. That's the only reason Proxima isn't a cloud of debris right now," the Admiral said gravely. "Your tactic bought us time, Captain, but the intelligence you gathered confirms our worst fears. The Dragari outclass us in virtually every metric of military technology. Yet we bloodied their nose with mining charges and determination," Maya pointed out. "Technology isn't everything." Admiral Ortiz smiled grimly. "That's exactly what Earth Command is counting on. We're implementing a battle plan based on your encounter. The Dragari may have better ships, but humanity has something they likely haven't encountered before, a history of being the underdog and winning anyway." Maya nodded. "What are my orders, Admiral?" Effective immediately, you're being promoted to Commodore. The Thunderbolt will be the flagship of a new rapid response task force. Your mission is to establish contact with other species threatened by the Dragari. We need allies, intelligence, and any advantage we can get. A coalition, Maya said thoughtfully. Exactly. The Dragari don't just threaten Earth, they threaten any species they deem inferior, which seems to be everyone. Your actions show that they can be fought, even with inferior technology. That message needs to spread. As the communication ended, Maya turned to look out the viewport at her ship docked outside the station. The Thunderbolt seemed small and fragile against the backdrop of space, just as humanity must appear to the vast Dragari Empire. But appearances could be deceiving. They have no idea what they've started, she murmured to herself. Humans had spent their entire history fighting against overwhelming odds. Against nature, against each other, against extinction. Now they would fight among the stars, not just for themselves, but for all who couldn't stand alone against the coming storm. The coalition strike. 3 months after the encounter at Proxima Centauri, Commodore Maya Reeves stood in the command center of the hastily established Coalition Base Alpha, constructed in an asteroid belt orbiting a nameless star. Around her stood representatives of 6 different species, all united by one commonality. They had all suffered at the hands of the Dragari Empire. The Dragari fleet movements suggest they're preparing for a major push into this sector, Maya explained, gesturing to the holographic display. According to our Nelvari allies, they've assembled 30 warships for the campaign. Ambassador Thrixel of the Nelvari clicked his mandibles in agitation. His insectoid species had lost 2 colony worlds to the Dragari in the past cycle. Their numbers grow. Our intelligence suggests they have drafted additional shipbuilding resources from their latest conquests. Numbers and technology, added General Krav, a reptilian Vozek whose leathery skin bore the scars of previous encounters with Dragari forces. We cannot match either. Maya nodded, acknowledging their concerns. That's why we won't try to match them conventionally. Earth has a long history of asymmetric warfare, fighting against superior forces by changing the rules of engagement. She touched a control, and the hologram shifted to display what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons and basic explosive devices. Several of the alien representatives looked confused. "What is this, Commodore?" asked Elarai, the willowy representative of the Lissari, a species known for their advanced biotechnology. "These appear to be archaic weapons." Maya smiled. "Exactly. The Dragari rely on energy shields calibrated to defend against modern weapons, particle beams, plasma projectors, laser arrays. But these archaic technologies operate on completely different principles." Understanding dawned in General Krav's reptilian eyes. They would pass through shields optimized for energy weapons. Precisely, Maya confirmed. Humanity spent thousands of years developing increasingly effective ways to kill each other before we developed energy weapons. We've been adapting that historical knowledge to space combat. Over the next several hours, Maya outlined what Earth Command had designated Operation Trojan Horse, a battle plan that combined modern technology with warfare concepts dating back to Earth's ancient history. Each coalition species contributed their unique strengths. Nelvari sensor jamming technology, Vozek battle tactics, Lissari biological countermeasures, and 3 other species' specialized knowledge. The key, Maya explained, is to make the Dragari fight the battle we want, not the one they're expecting. 2 weeks later, the coalition forces gathered at the edge of the Altair system, the predicted target of the Dragari advance. The human contingent had grown to 12 vessels, led by Maya's Thunderbolt, now retrofitted with both standard and archaic weapon systems. The alien allies contributed another 23 ships of various classes, all modified according to the coalition battle plan. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Ward, now serving as Maya's tactical officer across the coalition fleet, reported from his station. "Dragari fleet detected, Commodore." 32 vessels, approaching in standard conquest formation. Maya took a deep breath. Despite all their preparations, the Dragari still outnumbered and outgunned them. Begin Operation Trojan Horse. Deploy the mining drones. Hundreds of automated mining drones, originally designed for asteroid harvesting, swarmed from the coalition ships, carrying their deadly modified payloads toward the approaching Dragari fleet. Each drone was virtually invisible to advanced sensors. The Dragari wouldn't waste scanning resources on what appeared to be primitive mining equipment. Nelvari vessels, commence jamming operations, Maya ordered. Lissari ships, deploy biochemical cloud as planned. The Nelvari ships activated their specialized transmitters, flooding Dragari communication channels with disruptive signals. Simultaneously, the Lissari vessels released clouds of engineered microorganisms designed to interact with the unique metal alloys of Dragari ships, creating a corrosive effect. The Dragari fleet's advance continued unabated, seemingly unconcerned with the smaller coalition force opposing them. Their confidence proved to be their undoing. As they moved into optimal firing range, the mining drones activated, attaching themselves to Dragari hulls and detonating their payloads. Simple high-explosive charges combined with shaped projectiles designed to penetrate hulls rather than be stopped by energy shields. Multiple impacts on Dragari vessels, Eli Chen reported from his sensor station. Their shields are holding against our energy weapons, but the kinetic penetrators are breaching hulls. Maya watched as the Dragari formation faltered, several ships suffering unexpected damage from weapons their defensive systems hadn't been programmed to counter. Coalition forces execute attack pattern Thermopylae. The coalition fleet split into precisely coordinated groups, executing a battle plan inspired by ancient Earth military tactics, channeling the numerically superior force into a position where their numbers became a liability rather than an advantage. The Vozak warships, heavily armored and powerful, formed the front line, while faster human and Nelvari vessels executed flanking maneuvers. On the Dragari flagship, Supreme Commander Vextar watched in growing rage as his fleet's perfect formation disintegrated into chaos. These primitive species were using tactics and weapons that hadn't been seen in galactic warfare for millennia. His ship shuddered as another explosion rocked the hull. "Impossible," he hissed. "They cannot defeat the divine will of the Dragari." "Sir," his second-in-command reported, multiple hull breaches on decks 5 through 9. Engineering reports the antimatter containment systems are being affected by some kind of biological agent corroding the control mechanisms. Vextar's many eyes widened. "Activate the purge systems. Burn it away. The emergency systems aren't responding. Our command network is being jammed by patterns we cannot filter." For the first time in his long military career, Vextar felt fear. The Dragari had conquered dozens of species through overwhelming technological superiority. None had ever devised effective countermeasures. None had ever coordinated resistance across multiple species. None had ever turned the Dragari's own technological assumptions against them. Until now. On the Thunderbolt, Maya watched as the coalition forces pressed their advantage. The Dragari ships, designed for coordinated warfare through their advanced networks, found themselves increasingly isolated as the jamming disrupted their communications. Without centralized coordination, their superior technology became less effective, forcing individual ship commanders to make tactical decisions they weren't trained for. "Commodore, the Dragari flagship is showing signs of critical system failures," Jackson reported. "Their formation is breaking apart." Maya nodded. "All coalition vessels, focus fire on their command ship. Let's end this." The combined firepower of the coalition fleet converged on the Dragari flagship. Its advanced shields, already strained by multiple systems failures and unexpected attack vectors, finally collapsed. The massive vessel erupted in a series of explosions, breaking apart under the sustained assault. Without their command ship, the remaining Dragari vessels began to retreat, their once perfect formation now a disorganized rout. 7 of their ships had been destroyed outright, and at least a dozen more suffered significant damage. "They're falling back," Commodore Eli announced, unable to keep the astonishment from his voice. "Casualties?" Maya asked, her thoughts immediately turning to the cost of their victory. "We lost 3 ships," Jackson replied solemnly. "The Vosik cruiser Relentless, the Lissari vessel Harmony, and the human destroyer Challenger. Several others reporting damage, but our casualty ratio is unprecedented against Dragari forces." Maya closed her eyes briefly, honoring the sacrifices made. When she opened them, her resolve was strengthened. This isn't just a victory for us. This is a message to every species suffering under Dragari oppression. They can be defeated. In the days that followed, news of the Coalition's victory spread rapidly through nearby systems. Species that had previously submitted to Dragari demands began to resist. The Coalition's ranks swelled with new allies bringing their own unique capabilities and perspectives. 2 weeks after the battle, Maya stood again in the command center of Coalition Base Alpha, now expanded and bustling with activity as representatives from 15 species coordinated their efforts. "The Dragari have pulled back to consolidate their forces," she explained to the assembled Coalition Council. "They're adapting to our tactics, but so are we. For the first time, they're facing an enemy that evolves faster than they do." Ambassador Thrixel's compound eyes glittered. What the Dragari fail to understand is that adaptability is the true measure of advancement, not technological superiority. Each species here developed unique solutions to survive on their homeworlds. Together, our combined ingenuity is more powerful than any weapon. General Krav nodded his massive scaled head. "The humans have shown us that history contains wisdom. My people will open our ancient military archives. Knowledge we thought obsolete may find new purpose." Maya looked around at the diverse gathering. Species that weeks ago had never encountered each other, now united in common purpose. Humanity was the newest spacefaring civilization among them, technologically behind many of their allies, yet their perspective had proven invaluable. "The Dragari believe their right to rule comes from their advancement," Maya said. "But true advancement isn't measured by the power of your weapons or the size of your empire. It's measured by your ability to work together, to find strength in diversity, and to stand up for those who cannot stand alone." As the meeting concluded, Maya stepped to the viewport, looking out at the Coalition fleet assembled around the base. Ships of different designs, technologies and philosophies, now flying under a common banner. The Dragari Empire had spent centuries conquering through fear and technological intimidation. They had never faced a force united by hope and common purpose. They had no idea what they were up against.